For the first time in forever, I am about to take a tiny person on a trip, and I couldn't be more excited to learn from the master, Joy Oufnac, about how she keeps her kiddos happy and healthy and at least a little less tantrum centered because I know I am out of practice. Welcome back to 3D Travelcast. I'm Carol Beth Scott, and my favorite memory traveling with tiny people, well, there are a few. I'm going to choose just one, but it's hard. So the first time we took a trip with our kiddos, I was scared. I thought my Hannah would be scared to death because she was scared of all people in the world. But it turns out that Donald Duck, Daisy Duck, they're the exception to every rule. She loved it. She danced with them. She hugged with them. It was the first time we saw her smile at someone that wasn't a family member. So that was amazing. And on that same trip, that Sergio in Italy was making balloons for our Joshua, and little Noah was all of 3 years old. And he said, "I'm next." And there was like 100 kids in the crowd. And somehow Sergio realized how important that was, and he picked my Noah. And if I talk about it too much, I'll cry, as y'all well know. That's my favorite memories with littles.
Well, I'm Wendy Armstrong, and you're right, Carol Beth. There are so many
It's
great
hard.
memories. It's really hard to pick. But when my kids were teeny tiny, most of our travel involved going back to see my parents and our family because we were in the military, so we did not live near our families. So it was either that or we would make a vacation while we were moving bases. And so some of my favorite memories involve my parents. And one of them is we surprised them one time. We were all going to Lake Tahoe, and this was pre Ashley. So I just had Elise and Austin, and we were supposed to come a day later, but we left Yellowstone a day early to go surprise my parents. And we pulled up, and they were getting out of the car. And so we had Austin run around the side of the car and just stand there. And they looked at him because they weren't expecting him. They looked at him and they were like, "That looks like Austin." And my mom said,
What is this
"Austin?"
poor kid doing?
And so anyway, it was really, really funny. And so
That's great.
it's great to have all those memories, especially now that my dad's gone. So it's really
Yes.
wonderful to have them.
Aw. It's my heart.
Oh, and I know I was just so excited about telling that story.
Yeah.
And we are so excited to have Joy with us on this episode of 3D Travelcast. So welcome, Joy, and tell us your
Yes.
favorite travel memory with your tinies.
Thank you. Oh, I have always loved traveling with my tinies. In fact, we took my Hannah on her first plane ride when she was 2 months old. So little ones have never stopped us from traveling. But if I have to narrow it down to one favorite memory, it would be the first time that we took her to Disney World. And she was almost 3 and into every single princess and loved it so much.
Aw.
And I loved when she saw the castle for the first time because she knew that is where her favorite princess lives, is in the castle.
And it was real.
And it was real.
Yeah.
And we got to eat dinner with Cinderella at her happily ever after dinner at Grand Floridian. That isn't there right now. But
hopefully it'll come back.
I hope so, because it's my favorite. And when Cinderella and Prince Charming walked in the room, Hannah stood up in her chair and she said, "She's so beautiful." And she was so melted. But
That's so sweet.
It was so sweet. The sweetest part, though, is later on in the meal when they came to the table, Cinderella and Prince Charming together. And Hannah said, "Prince Charming isn't handsome. This is Jack, baby Jack. He's handsome."
Oh, how cute.
And so for the rest of the trip, she introduced her baby brother to all of the characters and said that he is handsome.
That is so cute. I love
that.
Is
Oh
so my
sweet.
Goodness. So that's just the sweetest.
Well, Joy, I know sometimes people think that they spent so much money, time, and effort to take a trip finally that their kids better have a good time. So what would you say to encourage parents who might think along those lines
Yeah.
And, you know, in
It's
the
hard
midst,
not
they're
to.
stealing their family's joy, really.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. I tell my clients and friends who are preparing to take trips with little ones to realize that as moms, as the parents, we do set the tone for the trip. And our littles, they don't want a perfect trip. They don't they don't need everything to happen exactly as you think it will. They don't need all of the details planned out perfectly. They just need you to be there having fun with them. And I think
Yeah.
that is why I'm passionate about families traveling, especially with little children, because during that
Yes.
time, we as parents stop and we enjoy life with them. And I
Mhm.
Yeah.
think that for me, that is the most important thing to keep in mind is all they want is to have fun with you. And so it doesn't
That's so
matter
true.
where you are or
Mm-hmm.
whether everything goes
Mhm.
exactly as you had planned or not, because they don't know. Just have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Definitely one of our themes around here for sure. Dial into that family. Saturate.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you're going to help me now. I remember different things I did in the past to plan for success. So what do you do now, Joy? It really is. I've had moments of like tremendous insecurity that I didn't expect as we're planning how to travel with a 9-month-old in just 2 days. So how do you prepare your family and yourself for success?
Yeah. So of course, I just said it doesn't matter if all the details go right, but it
Yes.
is true. It will go better if you are prepared. I
Yeah.
do make lists upon lists to make sure we don't forget
Yeah.
everything. Um,
Hmm.
one of my packing tips that I have used is I pack,
Yeah.
when they were little, I packed each day's
Hmm.
clothes in a Ziploc bag. And then I
Oh,
labeled
I
it
remember doing that.
with that
Yeah.
day. And it had everything. So diaper,
Hmm.
a full change of clothes. And so then you just have that one outfit. It was really great when
Hmm.
we were traveling with 3 littles because we had 3, 4, and under.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
could fit all of their clothes in one Ziploc bag and I could pull it
Mhm.
out. And my husband could help get
Mhm.
them dressed and not have to ask which outfit for this
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
It was already
Right.
planned ahead. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
that's perfect.
I did that at night too. And it also having, this seems small, but when you have so many diapers, having the diapers in
Mhm.
Ziploc bags, they don't feel like they take up as much space in the suitcase. So it's not just
Okay.
this big,
Bulky thing.
bulky thing of
Yeah.
diapers. You've got them spread out some.
Okay.
First, you still have to have the extras.
That's interesting. Okay, so I have
Um,
a follow-up question with that. We've got
mhm.
diapers being delivered to us before we
Awesome.
hop on the cruise ship. Would you suggest that we pull them out of the box and regroup them or just haul that box onto the ship? I know it's a weird question, but these are the kind of things I'm thinking about.
Yeah. I mean, in that case, if you can just take the box, because then you
Okay,
have
that's
the
what I was
box.
thinking. But if it was
Yeah.
smart to put them in, I was gonna do it. I was ready.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Carry
No.
on. It was a weird follow-up,
See,
but I thought,
I
I don't
had
wanna miss. Yeah.
I had littles before the days of, resort delivery of diapers. So
Right. Yeah, me too. Yes, it was
Yeah.
different. Mhm.
Mhm.
very
Yep.
different.
Yes.
Um, Another thing that I make sure I have is snacks that they love that we don't have all the time. And so that helps whether you're in the car or you are flying, something that
Mhm.
they're going to love that's a special treat, that just kind of
Yeah,
helps curb the meltdowns a little bit or is a little bit more of a distraction if a meltdown is about to occur. Um,
that makes
so
sense.
Mhm.
having that um, is key. And we do drive a lot where we are road
Yeah.
trip bears. And so we
Mhm.
have DVDs. We do DVD players in the car. I was
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
really great, well prepared mom when Hannah was little, and I had all the activities, and I went to dollar store and had all the new activities. And within 15 minutes, they were all on the floor. And then I
Yeah.
had to pick them up. And so I learned really quickly that having all the cute car activities is more work for me
Mhm.
and doesn't really hold their attention. It's DVDs, snacks, and
So true.
For sure.
yeah.
I remember starving my kids out of screen time before we would take
Mhm.
a road trip so that they were like, "Oh, thank God I finally Just fine, let
Yes.
me watch Encanto or
Mhm.
whatever it is, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and we do it
Yeah.
on the airplane too, because
Mhm.
if most airlines now they have an app where you can make sure you can have the movies playing. Just make sure that you have everything downloaded ahead of time, because if it's not downloaded, you don't have Wi-Fi. So anything
That's
that you're
right.
going to, and also
Yeah.
comfortable. Um,
I fixed it, don't worry.
make sure that you have comfortable headphones for them, and that because in an airplane they do have to wear headphones. I did not have headphones for one of my boys, and someone complained, and so we had to turn the tablet off, which was we were
Oh,
in the very back row, so I was a little annoyed about that one.
Well, it
But
is the
yeah.
rule now. So
it
it's
is,
actually you don't even have to complain. It's an announcement at the beginning of every airplane ride that if
yeah,
you don't have earbuds or a headset, then and it doesn't matter how little you are. So that is probably an important thing to mention. You do have to have
you
something.
have to have
Didn't used to be that
headphones,
way.
and
Mhm.
there is not really
Yes.
grace offered. So
No. Nope.
Mhm.
yeah.
There is not.
Okay, I have to ask you if you have seen the pictures of Drew Barrymore with her kids
Oh,
when they
it's
were
so
little,
funny. At
because
the Disney
they're
park?
at Disney World,
I haven't
yes,
seen
and
those.
Disneyland, and so she's posed with
Hysterical.
children like mid tantrum, right? But she's got a big
Mhm.
smile on her face. So,
Yes.
basically acknowledging that there are some things you just can't control. So tell us
Yeah.
about your days and how you keep your smile throughout the day, even though
Yes.
they may fall apart.
Right.
Oh, and they will fall apart. I have to tell you that my very favorite vacation memory, the dinner at Cinderella with Cinderella and Prince Charming, we had
Ooh.
to ask them to move if we could be seated an hour later, because when we arrived to the restaurant, we were in full on meltdown mode, screaming at
Oh,
the
yeah.
Oh,
top of our lungs, and she was not going to be consoled. And
She was done.
she was done. She needed a little break. Um,
Yeah.
Fortunately, they were able to accommodate us. And you know, at Disney
Right.
World, if you are reasonable with a cast member um, and ask politely, and then
Mhm.
of course we were not then seated immediately when we were ready. At that point, then we had to wait for them to
Right.
have a table for
right.
us. But definitely be prepared for changes in schedule. I think the biggest thing is to really pay attention to their cues and not
Mhm.
try
Yeah.
to push it past,
Mhm.
and if we had to give up that dinner, that would have been better that night than to go into a restaurant with a
Right.
screaming 2-year old.
Right.
Right.
And
Right.
so, yeah. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's exactly what the cast member at the podium thought too. They don't need
Does
Yeah.
Hannah
screaming Hannah.
enjoy this story? What does she think when you share this story, Joy?
Oh,
Does
she
she
loves
even
it.
know?
Oh, she loves it.
Okay, good. Because hi,
Yes.
Hannah. I know you're gonna hear this.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
She was,
I think it's the reality. That's why the other parents need to calm down. It
Mhm.
happened to all of us. It is all right to have for
Yes.
your
yes.
kids to have a moment.
Yes. And
Anyone who
so
has had,
go ahead, Joy.
I would say anyone who's had a toddler has had a meltdown. So much less
Yes.
on a road trip or in the air or
Mhm.
anywhere.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, when I see so many people when they're at Disney World or Disneyland, and you can tell at the end of the night that they're exhausted, right? And their child is just in full meltdown mode. And I know that I tell my clients this, but I'd love to hear what you tell your clients as well, because I tell them when you have littles, you probably need a break in the middle of the day.
Mhm.
And
I
don't
did.
try to go all day because it's just exhausting for both parent and child. So
Mhm.
what do you tell your clients when they're traveling?
It is so exhausting. And you really have to know your family, um,
Mhm.
and kind of know be prepared to adjust whatever your plan was. For us, we actually never took breaks in the middle of the day, um, because how when we were going to Disney pretty often, we had 3 of them 4 and under.
Mhm.
So that was a double
Mhm.
stroller and a single stroller, and then all of the things that go along with it. And to be honest, to fold up all of that to get onto a bus, or even if we were in our own car, and then get somewhere to rest for 45 minutes to an hour to then fight it back again, wasn't worth it for us. But we were not always rope drop, or we were not always late.
Right.
And so being able to say, okay, you know what? We pushed it yesterday, so we are going to sleep in today. Even
Mhm.
though I
Mhm.
really wanted to go and experience, this ride at Rope Drop or the welcome show, realizing that pushing it too far is not fun.
Right.
And so I think the biggest thing is to be flexible and kind of know what is going to work for your kids. My kids also would nap in a stroller. And so we
Mhm.
spent
Wow.
plenty. You all know that I love my quiet spots in
Yes.
Disney
Yeah.
World. And I found them because
Mhm.
of napping toddlers. And so my mom's famous trick is to open the sunshade for about 2 to 4
Mhm.
minutes when they're about to fall asleep, and they're forced to close their eyes because the sun beats down on them. And then once they're out, you put that sunshade back on and then sneak off to a quiet spot and just keep moving while they get their little break that way. So
Nice.
Cool.
those were some things that we did. And I will go back to
Excellent.
snacks, making sure that you have snacks in your bag prepared for them before they get hangry, because they will if you wait too long.
Oh, absolutely.
So basic toddler needs: sleep,
Yes. Yeah.
rest.
Mhm.
And I think because we never took a 45-minute break. Our breaks were like 4 to 6 hours in the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
day. Because yeah, that wouldn't have worked for us either. Because we had 3 littles as well.
Mm-hmm.
But some of it comes down to being an introvert. I have a husband who's an introvert and a son who's an introvert. And we left because that, even if we didn't sleep, I think it's so smart knowing your family. And that's why we can't, everybody's their own person.
Mm-hmm.
We can't take
Mhm.
what works for us and say it has to be everybody's exactly the same way.
Right.
Yeah, so that's great, Joy. Good tip. Okay. So, we I don't know if it's because we pushed ourselves too hard or what it was, but for my family, and it's true to this day, but I turned 50 this year, so I feel like I have an excuse. But even in my 20s when I had littles, man, after a trip, we were so tired that we had to have some down days afterwards. So for us, that was like maybe I did laundry. We ate the easiest food in the world, like, Lunchable version type food. I would watch documentaries and count it as school unashamedly. I have college graduate children. I tell you, homeschool families, it is okay to do that. I'm wondering, Joy, how does your family recover from the trip, or even if you need to? I feel like you, in some ways, have this piece about you, like being able to take breaks in the middle of the park that I never accomplished. Maybe you don't need it. So I'm very curious what you're going to say here.
Well, it definitely takes some time to
Oh, relief.
get
You're
back to
human.
normal.
Yes.
Yes. The laundry takes at least a week.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I also find that, how we as adults kind of feel a little bit of post vacation blues.
Yeah.
They
Mhm.
do too. They
Mhm.
miss whatever it was that was special about the vacation.
Yeah.
And so we are a souvenir buying family, and my kids
Okay.
love, their memories are connected to their souvenirs.
Mhm.
And so they definitely have plenty of time the next few days to play with their new treasures and
Yeah.
just kind of enjoy, continue sleeping in a little bit, and
Mhm.
maybe let the screen
Mhm.
time go for the
Yes.
next week.
Yes.
As they get older, I found that it's a little bit easier to bounce
Mhm.
back.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
But their emotions get bigger. It just is different. And so just giving
Cool.
them the time
Absolutely.
to recover even emotionally from the highs of being on vacation.
Yeah.
That's so good. Giving them
Mhm.
grace.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and for ourselves too. I remember when you couldn't order groceries, and the fact that you can do that now, I feel like is a gift from heaven above. You can come home and order groceries. I mean, there's so much negative about what we've been through the last couple years, but competitive grocery delivery, it's
Yes,
amazing.
Yeah.
it is. And I can even order them to have on my doorstep waiting for me, which is,
Right? It's
yes.
incredible. It's
Yes.
incredible. I know. You can throw in some bath salts for yourself, whatever you need. Oh my goodness. That's so great. Oh.
Well, Joy, thank you so much for giving us insight and hope that we can travel with toddlers when we go.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I do. It's always helpful for me to be around you because you do bring a peace to the situation. So I needed a Joy back in the day when I had toddlers to just come alongside me like, "You're doing good. Okay. All right. I've got this. I'm good. It's okay. The tantrum's all right." Because it's so hard when you're in it, right? Like
It
I
is.
Yeah.
I got embarrassed and you don't need to be. There's enough of us moms. I don't know. I just can't say that enough.
Yeah.
You just let them
Yeah.
be who they
We've all
are.
been there, done that.
And they're people. Children are
Yes.
people.
Mhm,
They're probably done with this
mhm.
crowd, just like you are.
Right?
Okay. Well, yes. I'm Carol Beth Scott, and I love traveling with tinies because I am different when we travel. See, I knew I was going to cry in this one. It's so stupid. um, I love traveling with little bitties when it's real and they experience and discover things for the first time. Because it takes me out of the stress and trauma of everyday life and it dials me into what is that bug? I have never seen that before. And we're sitting on the pavement or
Mhm.
the castle like with little Hannah. It's just that's what I love so much. I want to saturate in every moment like they do.
Yeah, I know. And Carol Beth, I was the same as I was even just reading the script for today. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get through this without
Yes.
crying because
Yeah.
I love traveling with tinies. And it's been a long time since I've had a tiny because every moment is a treasure. They will never be that age in that moment
Mhm.
ever again. And soon they will be out of your home. And every
Stop
moment
it.
is just sorry. Every moment is
It's
precious with them.
It is. Ugh. Okay, it's your turn, Joy.
You're gonna make me cry. I love traveling with my littles because their wonder and their joy are contagious. They
Yeah.
cause me to stop and enjoy the moment. And dancing through Epcot or seeing a character for the first time
Yes.
or the beach, even if it's not
Mhm.
Disney, you know, it's just playing in the sand. When's the last time you played in the sand?
Yeah.
But when you're with a little, you
Yeah.
do. And that's why I love
Absolutely.
it.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh,
Ah,
real deal. I know. We almost made it. It's my fault. Sorry,
I
I
know.
really got it. I did it. It's my
No,
fault.
yeah. Well, from the 3D travel cast, this is Wendy Armstrong.
And Carol Beth Scott.
And Joy Oufnac.
Until next
Until
Until
time.
next
next
time.
time.